Guys, welcome to Faz Radio. Let's get started. All right, we are now live. I'm going to put out an announcement on the Discord.
Oh, there it went. It kicked in.
All right, share with my followers because I have many. Oh, we need to put this on Twitter.
Oh, Twitter. Yeah, I can do that while you're fiddling around with the other thing.
Twitter. All right. So today's broadcast. Can people actually hear me on this broadcast?
I don't know.
Can you hear me? Can you check? I don't know if we're casting. Nobody's here.
Yeah, it's on. Is this thing on?
Good.
Hang on. I got to copy the link. Control copy.
All right. So today I wanted to bring up a subject that I found quite interesting, and that is there a class war brewing over NFTs and crypto? Because I kind of sense one. I've been having some discussions on social media with some of my older friends, friends that predate crypto, and not really getting the best responses from them. I think that's pretty obvious. But I actually had somebody unfriend me because apparently this person didn't think that, crypto was a good idea. That made me wonder. Everything like this gets made political after a while. Do you think that politicians are starting to use crypto and NFTs as a cudgel to divide people?
Well, it can be easily done. And I think even some of what we see in Discord, both in CFA and I see it way more over on the Gala Games server, is I think a lot of it is rooted in the jealousy. I think there's a lot of people who see what maybe other people have and it gets to them, it bothers them, and they think they're not worthy at that point. I think there's a lot of, I don't even know the right preface, uneducation, de-education.
Well, what I'm actually noticing is this is in more of my smarter friends. My friends that are, I tend to be a bit of a brainiac myself sometimes, a bit of a nerd. And so I have a number of nerd friends. And I get it to some degree. When I first got exposed to crypto years ago, I was worried about the legality of it. I dismissed it because I was like, oh, this is trying to be a competition for the dollar and stuff like that. But after I really started getting into it and started seeing ecosystems pop up where crypto represents value over dollars, it started to make some sense. But I'd have to say that I think it might make sense from a capitalistic or libertarian point of view, and perhaps not from, maybe a socialist point of view. What I'm wondering is if people are starting to see this as a way to enforce capitalism or a way to enforce libertarianism.
Well, that in itself, I could sit here and talk for an hour on, because a lot of people talk like that, but then they don't actually do anything about it. They want the concept, but then when they realize that they have to do things in order to achieve that genre for themselves, they're like, yeah, forget it. I'll just let it go. I saw that quite a bit. With it's funny. I saw that quite a bit with the Zeitgeist movement, and I was involved in that years ago, and everybody gets excited about it. Everybody wants to talk about it. But then when you actually had to go do something to support it or go to a meeting and help rally, nobody would do it. So I think the ideals, I think it scares them that it's actually here. They were excited about it until it actually jumped into their face. And the second part is, I don't think they think it's true. there's even people that roll their eyes and tell me whatever when I tell them how far I've come in this space in a relatively short amount of time, in 18 months. And all that put together, that could easily create a huge divide.
Well, you know, I remember these very same people saying, "Boy, I really wish I had gotten into Amazon back then, back in the mid '90s, or who'da thunk it, as far as Google or Yahoo or something like that." And I'm really seeing crypto as a more modern way of doing things. And I'm gonna go back in time a little bit. In the mid '90s, there was a series called Tech War. It's this science fiction ghost wrote by William Shatner. I don't think William Shatner actually got the idea. He just had ghost writers. And the coolest thing I saw in this tech war was people had these things called wallets, and they're these big giant bricks that they carry around, but they're electronic devices. If you wanted to pay somebody, you'd simply just connect your device, physically connect your device with your other device, just touch the two devices together, and you could send the money from one person to another. And of course, at that time, I'm like, well, how is that possible? Because, crypto, there's something called the double spend problem with crypto, which is if you have electronic money, you can easily copy that, copy a dollar bill and send that copy over. But crypto solves that double spend problem to where each transaction is unique and each Bitcoin is unique and so on. And so, I was vaguely interested. And so by the time crypto came around, I was like, yes, this is it. Now I can pay somebody online. It doesn't go through a bank, doesn't go through anything. And I think people think that, oh my gosh, if it doesn't go through a bank, it's not legitimate because, banks are good, right? Well, banks didn't used to be in the 1800s. Banks failed like every, 20 or 50 years? I forget. The banking system, people people these days really don't think about it because their lives have been pretty stable regarding banking. But banking is a lot more corrupt than you think it is. It's just institutionalized, it's normalized, and it's not corrupt in the normal ways. There's the it's a very deep uh, process going on that's very, very normalized. And when you really think about it, it's like, well, why do you need a bank? You only really need a bank these days because you might need a loan or you might need to send money to someone else. Well, so yeah, you kind of need a bank to send, your friend some money who lives in another state. Now you don't need a bank for that. So what's a bank really for?
One of the first things that you told me with this
You're kind of quiet,
is,
by the way. Can
am
you?
I?
Yeah, is there a way to get louder?
I don't know. Let me see. Let me go to StreamYard. I'll play with that. Yeah, my volume's up. I don't know what happened. It's got to be like YouTube or something, maybe.
Maybe it's me. Go ahead.
Is you told me be very careful what you do because you're your own bank. And I didn't understand that concept because I was still having a hard time grasping the concept that assets didn't have to go through a bank, and having a hard time believing all this was real. So I wish I was an oracle and I wish I could say, oh yeah, back in 2000, whatever, me and Satoshi would hang out in a coffee bar, and uh, it I had my opportunity back then and I blew it because I didn't believe what my friend in the old Google Circles forum was saying about Bitcoin. So I missed out big time. That was 2010, 2011. Banks, I think, are panicking with the adoption that we've had already. And we're getting to a point, and you and I talked about this offline not too long ago, where it comes down to the adoption and when it's going to go and not be considered early again. And I mentioned when the institutions get in, and there's another trigger I think that we can look at when it comes to adoption, and that is the opening up of places now where it makes it ridiculously easy to get Bitcoin. So it's not so much an exchange. There's wallets where you can do direct deposit of your paycheck directly into crypto. And you have the ability to spend crypto at a lot of places now. Not that I would ever spend it in an actual store, but some people might. I mean, it's their tokens. They can do what they want with them. Um, I wouldn't do that, but to pay things and to pay people, and if I could set it up to where it was like a bank, which I don't think is very far off, where you're going to be able to have a bill pay in your crypto wallet where you can pay your mortgage or your car note or whatever bills you have. Credit card companies would be really smart to get in on that to pay the credit card bills. They could link it, they could offer some very choice crypto rewards and get a ton of business, and it would ease people in maybe a little bit more to the process. Right now, I mean, I've seen it in CFA. People come in and they're like, how do I even go get Gala? Where do I go to buy tokens? And you're like, oh boy. Because crypto is forever. And if you mess that up, that's real money down the drain.
Well, let's step back a little bit because you're mentioning something you can do with your crypto, but getting back to people really trying to grok this idea, I think people really aren't used to the idea of transferring value without using their country's fiat money. Like in the United States, if I want to give you value of any form, I'd probably just pay you in cash or pay you in a check or pay you with a credit card. I might decide to give you my grandmother's wedding ring, which has value, but that isn't really seen as value as much as that's an heirloom. That's important. That is personal value, but it's not quantifiable. But there's a lot of quantifiable value in the world that's a lot of value in the world that's now being quantified with games, NFT games, and in NFTs in general, uh, and with crypto, various cryptos Holochain is quantifying value, and I don't think people are used to that. And they're like, "Wait, what are you doing? This is money, but it's not money. You're trying to turn this into money." And they're like, "Hey, stop that! You're harshing my calm or something." I don't know.
It might be. It is a difficult thing to grasp a concept on because you're always used to your country's currency, no matter how old or young you might be. That's what there's always been. You learned about it in school, and it's all you have. And now people are saying, well, yeah, you can use these uh, shiny little internet magic money tokens to pay people.
Little
And
coupon thingies.
yeah, it is a very difficult concept because there's nothing physical either. Think how long it took for people to get used to debit and credit cards instead of cash, though. Too that took almost a decade.
Well,
Uh,
I got used to that pretty quick. My grandparents, they're like, "What the hell is this thing?"
right. So I mean, people it with Zelle and Cash App and all these things, you sell your car, and put an ad out there somewhere. There's nobody walking around with $7,000 of cash in their pocket anymore. They're gonna Zelle you, they're gonna Cash App you, they're gonna whatever you. Uh, Nobody uses that stuff. You can put an app on your phone to take Square credit card payments, and it just you blap the card with it and it does its thing. So it a lot of the younger generation it has a much easier and better time with it, I think, than maybe people over 35, 40 years old.
There you go. That's the new thing. If you're if you're over 30 or if you're over 40, you're too old to understand crypto. Darn, I'm over 40 and I understand it.
Yeah, but you're a tech nerd, and you've always been a tech nerd, and uh, I'm the same way. You know, you and I used to sit and play. We were talking Word Perfect and Windows 3.11. We used to dork around on that, and I used to break into Senior Chief's computer before
All right,
Windows
now you might
even
not want to
really
talk about that.
Windows had any security features. So, you know, we've been at that part a long time. So for us, tech, you and I actually, when you were talking me into this crypto thing, one of our conversations was about just that. I had gotten out of the tech for a while because nothing was happening. And I told you, I warned you, you know, I'm going to have to catch back up here because it's been a while. Um, I'm still the unofficial tech guy on the first floor of uh, our building at work because nobody else knows what they're doing. They all were taught, you know, how to use Google Docs in school because it's a younger crowd, but there is none of them that know how to do anything with a SQL database or use even the ancient technology of ODBC anymore. I've got to do all that stuff.
Well, like I was saying, getting back to the concept of transferring value, it seems somewhere along the way, the government got completely and totally in the middle of transferring value, all value. And they kind of still are. I mean, 100 years ago or 200 years ago, you know, if you want to trade value with somebody, you didn't need the government in the middle. But of course, we're talking about taxation. The government always needs to be in the middle so that they can defend you, which I'm actually not against. I don't have a problem with the idea of taxation. I have a problem with somebody having to approve a transaction, and that's what we've gotten to with banks. If I want to buy something from you and the bank doesn't agree with it, they can stop the transaction. The bank themselves. Oh my God, you're doing something sketchy. Now, I mean, it could be like a porn website or something else they don't agree with, a political party. But the whole point is the very fact that a bank can shut you down at all and exclude you from the club and turn you unbanked if you didn't do a thing a certain way, that's a problem. That's that's not even the government actually in the way there. That's a bank in the way.
Well, Chris Paring just posted, you know, cash rules still. I mean, it does, but the approvals is, I think, a big point on that because there was somebody that posted on Twitter today. Uh, they pulled money out. It was somebody fairly famous. They pulled money out of an exchange, and unlike usual, apparently it didn't hit his bank account. He said he called the bank, and the bank said that they would now require a permission uh, notification from the bank to deposit any money derived from crypto assets to be deposited in the account. And he would have to go to the bank to apply for that permission. And of course, he said, I hung up on the bank. But it's getting to that point. They're getting desperate. They could easily just shut it off. And if they see that you have money coming from Coinbase or Gemini or anywhere else, they could hold it indefinitely. And I mean, what do you do then? I mean, the money has been transferred. Hopefully the customer service at the exchange you're working with has a way to get that back. I don't know, but if it's going to get to that point, because obviously it is in certain places in the world, what are people going to do? They're going to get all these crypto gains, and they're not going to be able to do anything outside the crypto world with it.
Well, I called my bank when I've withdrawn crypto, and they're like, yeah, we don't care how much money you have or how much money you send back. Because I'd asked if there's limits or anything. They're like, no, we don't care. Um, but yeah, it's strange how some banks are totally fine with it, and some banks are like, "Whoa, this is not cool." It's like they're seeing their own gravestone or something. They're like, "Oh hell no." And I'd like to think, well, the banks that stick around, the banks that allow these will be the ones that succeed. But what are you going to do in the meantime? I mean, even if it's you could be holding a stable coin. You can actually be holding USD on Coinbase, and a bank is simply just going to, because I have some USD on Coinbase, and my bank could simply say, no, it's coming from Coinbase, therefore you can't. It's money, it's mine. Everybody agrees it's mine. So if it's in Coinbase, but then I can't get it to a bank account to spend it for a credit card, then that means Coinbase is going to become a bank, which isn't really an improvement. And it's like, I know you can get a Coinbase card now, so I could probably get a credit card and get it set up with Coinbase. But oh my God, now it's Coinbase will then have a problem with certain ways that I do things with my crypto and so on. It's not going to change.
No, I think a lot of these exchanges and even the wallets, because you and I had talked about this on a Faz Radio broadcast maybe 6, 8 months ago, um, when we were talking about how Kraken was weaseling its way through the bank process and they're set up in Wyoming. Um, I I think they're going to choose carefully who they work with, right? So we all know I love to shill Strike Wallet. Um, I use it every day. I buy Bitcoin every hour. It's fantastic, and they contract
No paid
with.
or unpaid advertisements, please.
I'm not advertising. I just love the app. I believe me. I wish we could get some advertising money on that, but um, they go through. I think it's Prime Trust, and they were assured that they would not pull any hocus pocus games, I guess, in order to be the provider for that network. But they're the ones that do all the intermediate custody between the banks and the wallets. So you do have a third party at the moment. It's long story. They're going to go keyless, and you're going to get your own key. But anyway, in the meantime, there has to be something there. There has to be that intermediary, and that's the good part on the wallet side to compare. It's not going directly from your bank to a crypto wallet or a crypto exchange. It's going to another bank. So if you use, Wells Fargo as your bank, they're just transferring money to Prime Trust Bank. And then it's a little bit different. Eventually they'll catch on, I think, and they'll be like, yeah, they're a crypto friendly bank. We're not gonna play around with them so much anymore either. But it's way harder to do, and it makes it a little bit more user friendly, even though it kind of makes it pointless in a decentralized, hopefully fully decentralized world where you have to have a trusted intermediary. But people are smart. They're going to come out with this in the next year or two. I see wallets that you're going to be able to put on your phone or on your computer that you don't need any of that stuff. It's just going to find a way to convert instantly in the background.
It would be really nice to be able to connect my wallet. Remember, when you're using a credit card, that's still an intermediary, just like Coinbase. Your credit card can decide to drop you like that too. So it would be nice to be able to pay somebody directly from my wallet. I was going to say pay somebody from my wallet, connect my wallet up to a credit card, but why have an intermediary that could have a problem with me? You know,
Well, it eventually get there, and you want funny. So we talk about Facebook and Amazon and everything like that monitoring us. Right when you started talking, I got my Brave ad that popped up for Coinbase. So they're listening too, I guess.
at Coinbase.
That's spooky when that happens.
Well, You know, we are now starting to live this future that all the movies of the 80s, all those science fiction movies of the 80s kind of brought to light, which is we have a million services, we have a million items, we have digital stuff everywhere, we have lots of crap everywhere, and somebody wants to be in charge of all of it, or a bunch of somebodies want to be in charge of all of it. And I think we can agree that the Blade Runner world was not a fun world, uh, because you had a lot of factions fighting over various differing parts of your life. And it's going to be really interesting to see how that susses out.
Well, the banks are going to get into the game. They'll start with custody, and I think people will feel way more comfortable um, if they can store their Bitcoin at a bank because, again, they're having a hard time understanding it's just a hash that you own. And they're going to think that there's like little silver or gold Bitcoin sitting in a bank somewhere. And people are going to ask if they have to get a safe deposit box. There, it's going to take a long time, I think, for that to fully come back around. There's people now that I read, and again, you never know how true this stuff is. People can get creative, but there were scams going around on our local news not that long ago. This guy got arrested for selling Bitcoin in downtown where I live, and he would contact them on the social media, and he offered them a Bitcoin, which was he had up these little coins, these gold coins made, and he would charge them $7,000 or $10,000 for their Bitcoin, and you couldn't imagine how many people bought into that. I mean, it's like absolutely crazy. Now, wait, now, Crisp, I do have to take issue with that. Security at a bank is terrible. Um, so it's the perception, I think, of security.
Don't store your
And
crypto. Don't store your crypto keys in a safety deposit box if you're worried about them being safe from the government.
well, Crisp, I do have a lot of experience on that side. I don't recognize your name, so you might not have heard from other fast radios or me yipping in the Discord. I spent 12 years in financial planning and banking, and I worked for a company that created checking accounts. And most people don't even realize that the banks don't own their checking accounts. They rent them from other places who create checking accounts. So their checking account isn't even owned by Wells Fargo or Bank of America. It's owned by somebody else. And usually that's Fiserv down in Florida. And their bank account, their checking account is just in one of the server racks, sitting in there as accounting entries. But again, people visualize there's this bank, and it created this checking account, and the money's right there in the bank, and I can go get it whenever I want. And there is no such thing at all.
Well, there's that illusion, and to come back to our original point, which was I don't think that people really understand that crypto is transferring value. People, I don't think, really understand what banks really are. I don't even think that I do to some degree, because from what you said, there's a lot of regulation. There's various bits that banks are in charge of. Um, how are they facilitating things? We don't exactly know whose is what and whatever. But I can tell you one thing: there's 65 different ways for your account to get locked, and it will just take you a while to get your money back. I mean, they might have good reasons, anti-fraud and stuff like that, but all you need to do is be labeled as a fraud account, even if it's wrong, and your account is locked.
Well, they can do that at Coinbase just as easily, and I think all of us have an experience on an exchange where something got tied up somehow, some way, um, and that's the difference. That's why we're such advocates in the CFA security room. Get your tokens, if you're not actively using them, get them into a hardware wallet. Trezor, Ledger, that new Engrave that finally came out. There's Bitbox. There's a whole slew of them. Get your own keys. Get the crypto you're not using into your own custody, because nobody can take it if it's in a hardware wallet if you don't let them. They can try,
Well,
but it just
there is room to say you might want to put some in custody so you can make money with that money, because as much as they don't like to say so, exchanges do rehypothecate your crypto. They like
well,
to
of
say
course.
otherwise.
Of course they do. That's why there's liquidity problems on a lot of these exchanges. They've got too much loaned out and not enough when a whale comes in to sell something. Um, Everything has risk, and that's where you have to balance the risk versus the reward. You know, if I were to custody my assets somewhere, if I'm not getting 8, 10, 12%, I'm not taking the risk. And I always do it with less than 10% of my bag as well. I'm not putting a whole bag somewhere, because if some regulation comes out or someone gets shut down or someone gets hacked, I'm not having all of my assets disappear. It I just don't feel comfortable. There are people who do that, and you watch these ads that go on, Twitter, that flash by, and other social media, and they show a screenshot of, whatever exchange they're promoting, and it shows the balance, $297,000. Are you crazy? People leave their money. They think it's like a brokerage account, and they just leave their money in there, and anything could happen at that point. I cringe when I see that. That drives me absolutely crazy.
Are brokerage accounts better protected?
Most of them are, yeah. That's why you pay the fees that you do. You got the SIPC and all kinds of other, depending on what money market fund you are. There's insurance that goes along with that, and um, I just, after doing the stock market and investments for well over 12 years, I don't even play with that side of it anymore. I'm 90% crypto. I still have some really good buys that I made right when COVID hit. I got a bunch of the airline stocks for ridiculously low prices, and I haven't sold that. But compared to the past, phew, and they have the well, all right. So let's call it stupidity. I got had, and I stopped doing a lot of investing. I was uh, running a brokerage set of offices for a very well-known brokerage in the leadership capacity. So I knew what I was doing. And I went and I bought uh, GM stock. And this was prior to the financial meltdown in 2008. And it was stupid cheap. It was pennies is where GM was. And everybody kept saying, oh, the auto companies are too big to fail. They're gonna pull out of this one way or another. And I'm like, yeah, they will. And I'm gonna buy at like 18 cents per share on GM. And so I put tens of thousands of dollars into that, and it went bankrupt. And the government bailed them out of bankruptcy. So what happened is because the government decided to bail them out, um, the government was assigned all of my GM shares because they liquidated basically GM. And I lost every bit of that. And it was a few months later when GM, quote, relaunched. I said, where the hell are my shares? And they said, well, no, you can't have those back. That wasn't part of the deal. So basically, the government just stole that value, those shares. They owned them. And when GM recovered, I'm sure they sold them. So that really burned me that something like that could happen.
Well, I'd like to answer Lon John's question here. He asked if you think crypto is more stable than stocks. And all I'm really going to say about that is a stock for a company is tied to that company. So if you buy IBM stock, the stability is going to be however stable IBM manages to make itself be. Crypto, in my opinion, is bound to a technology. So if you have a crypto crypto coin that does a specific thing, and I like to use Holochain just because it's different. Holochain quantifies CPU cycles as value. Um, it's really going to depend upon that ecosystem. So, is that ecosystem more stable than IBM? I don't know. Depends on the coin. There, of course, is the obvious um, extra thing where cryptos all seem to be correlated right now. That's because of bots, in my opinion, that once they start losing in one crypto area, they start yanking money out of other cryptos. And then so a lot of the cryptos tend to correlate most of the time. Sometimes they don't. So the question then is the crypto market more stable than the stock market? Maybe. Crypto is brand new, so it's probably got some emerging technology cost there. So it's if it's so new, it's probably less stable. In a way, you could say that the stock market may never. It could get a lot more unstable depending on political and social events. So I don't exactly know, other than to say crypto is newer than the stock market.
Personally, I think the stability of the market depends on the chain. We've seen how the ETH chain has taken some lumps lately with L2s coming along. We've seen how the transition with ETH to the proof of stake network is affecting everything there. We see how the miners are doing their best to rebel. So I think even in crypto, I don't think there's something too big to fail. I think when you talk about stability, will it be there forever? Yes. Will the same tokens or coins still be there? Maybe, maybe not. Um, Part of that diversification should be a key, and making sure you don't have all your eggs in one basket. If you get overweighted in something, you're going to want to move it around. If you enjoy going out and buying the shit coins, so be it. But understand that there's a reason that they 100x in a weekend. Your 100x is the level of risk you're taking by buying that. So you have to factor that in. Um, you could throw a dart at a crypto chart and make money today. 5 years from now, when it's more established, not so much, in my opinion. And I also think that these 100x and 500x projects, I think that's going to taper quite a bit. I don't think you're going to see 150% gains on a regular basis in a lot of these crypto assets as more money gets in there, because it takes more money to actually move that market. So as the market cap of crypto as a whole goes up, it's going to be harder and harder to create those huge swings and huge gains.
So Chris Herring is responding to Lon John's question. Um, so we said it's why stocks are more stable, but less profitable or volatile in the short term. My thought is that crypto is an industry, and what's more stable in the stock market, the technology industry or an individual technology company? To me, it would seem that the technology industry is more stable than in any individual company. So I would think the same would go with cryptos, or similar would go with crypto. If you have what um, if you have a metaverse coin, are investing in that coin, is that a good idea? Well, how well is that metaverse, that decentralized game doing? How's Decentraland doing? Can you shut it down? If you can shut it down, is that going to make it more or less stable?
Yeah. Oh, you're using my phrase that you killed me on during that Faz radio a couple weeks ago. That's true decentralization. If you can't shut it off no matter what, that's when you know you're decentralized. And that's perfect segue. What I wanted to say next was along those same lines about that risk. You also have to look at that level of centralization, because as this crypto space grows, I don't know if anybody else has picked up on this, but the newer projects that are coming out are more centralized than ever. And this goes back to several arguments that Faz and I have had on this radio show over the past year about what does the term decentralized really mean. Well, there's about 50 definitions that you could use. So just because they say they're decentralized doesn't mean they are decentralized. And what does decentralized mean to you? Is it that you can't shut it off? Is that decentralized, truly decentralized? Uh, we've had the debate about Gala. Faz and I have raised each other's blood pressure talking about the decentralized meaning with Gala, because
I don't have blood pressure problems. Just saying.
you sound like it sometimes when we argue about this stuff. Um, okay, so what is the way that Gala themselves talk about Gala chain? And there's one big long word. It begins with a P. Proprietary. It's not an open chain. It's one that Gala owns and programs, and it's not open source. Is that
Well,
really
I,
decentralized?
I'd have to say that it's hard to make the determination with Gala Chain right now because one, it's not live. Two, there's very little documentation about it, and three, well, just fill in the rest. It's any coin when it first starts out is not decentralized. The goal of Gala Games, their stated goal, is to make these games that they make decentralized. So that would involve every part of it being decentralized. They just want to be one of the developers of games on that's supported by the Gala chain, which makes sense. It's just going to take a few years. So I'm not going to argue with you about is Gala decentralized right now. Right now, it is not. However, their plan is to be decentralized, and they're still filling in the gaps there. Even Eric Schreiermeyer, the guy in charge, says, "I don't exactly know how to get there, but we will." I'm paraphrasing, and
No, I
don't quote me, but
understand, and
that's what
that's
he
the
said.
thing too. I just we use Gala because that's our baby for the past year, but y- what's their definition of decentralized? What is ETH's
I think
definition
I
of
think that I think
decentralized?
that definition is currently evolving or being figured out, and by the time it gets figured out, I think that's where they want to be. So I'm not going to give them crap because honestly, they're doing stuff. They're doing work. They're doing good work, and don't shout down people while they're doing good work. Wait till they're done before you start giving them a whole load of crap. They have lot of directions they could go, and they haven't thrown down a marker and said we're going to do it this way. They've been pretty honest about, hey, we're building this, we're figuring out this as it's going along. I find no reason to criticize in that case. Let's have them figure it out.
I'm not criticizing. You're getting defensive. I'm just saying we're talking about decentralization, and that I won't use Gala as an example. Then let's talk about ETH. But there's no reason to get defensive. I didn't say there was anything wrong with it. I just said that we have to determine what decentralized means, and I think that's going to play a huge role going forward, because a lot of the new people getting into the space don't even understand what decentralized is or what any of those definitions means. They think, oh, because nobody can get to my wallet, it's decentralized, or um, that's what crypto is it's all decentralized, and that's not necessarily true. Um, it depends on how hardcore you go there. Um, there's people like Shapeshift who burn their keys, and it was a promise that was made, and keys were burned. Is that decentralized? Well, pretty much. Still not all the way. It takes time to do those things. I agree with you. Um, how about my buddies over at Thorchain? Well, I realized, even though I still love them and just not as much, they got hacked, and so they shut the network down. Well, is it really decentralized if someone can shut it down and then restart it? No, I don't think it is.
Well, in that sense, there's probably very few decentralized coins out there.
Very few. That's
Now,
right.
what's interesting was, I don't know if you remember this, a few years ago, Binance got hacked, and there was talk. There's talk somewhere. In fact, CZ Binance even mentioned it. Should we reverse? What's that? They're talking about forking the chain, forking Bitcoin, and somehow reversing the transactions.
I saw that article. Yeah.
Or was it Ethereum? I forget. But what they were talking
It's
about
ETH.
doing
Yeah.
was something that they might have had. I think they felt that they could talk to the right people to get that reversed. And then it kind of came out that that was a bad idea. And then they really backed off from it. So I want to know if it slipped out of CZ Binance's mouth so quickly, it must have been possible. It must have been theoretically possible that they knew the right people to actually make that happen. Whether or not it would have happened is kind of irrelevant. The fact that it could have is kind of an issue. I think
Well, it can even happen on Bitcoin.
if you get 51% of the miners out there to agree, then that's not wrong. That's
Well,
how it's meant to be.
it was put out there that you don't even need 51% of the miners. You need it's kind of like Congress. I can't remember the exact number. It was 60 or 75% of the developers who have keys um,
I
can
don't
alter the network.
I don't think that's the case with Bitcoin.
Yeah, it is. And here's how you can search for anybody listening.
You
The
should
the
search, and
article,
you should search and provide that
yeah,
information.
I'll try and do that.
Telling people to
But
go Google things is not a way to
no,
make a point.
listen, I understand, but I'm not going to sit here on a radio broadcast and type into Google. It was about what's his name, Craig Wright, with his lawsuit, and it came out during that he wanted the court to force the devs to enact whatever this was to give him access to the Satoshi wallet. And there was a fantastic article on it. I will see if I can find it and I'll throw it in like news or something. But I didn't know that either. And I was like, whoa, hey, I didn't know that was possible either. So apparently there's multiple ways that there's that, for lack of a better way to put it, backdoor into these networks. I didn't think they existed.
Well, if they existed, then they need to be patched or at least called out. I'm a big proponent of white hat hackers myself, and I'm a big proponent of knowing the truth. So if the truth is out there, I'm happy to see it and consider it, and hopefully get it changed. But if there is a way to hack Bitcoin then it's not decentralized, and it needs to be made centralized quickly. The same thing with all the other stuff. But anyway, I forgot where we were going with this whole centralized decentralized argument.
This is what happens, boys and girls. Faz and I get to yipping about one topic, and it turns into 2 hours of going all over the
It's called
place.
tangents.
Because you spark something, you're like, "Oh, hey, wait a minute."
Well, I was trying to at the beginning of this kind of get into this whole crypto NFT class war that people seem to be starting up for, I don't know, for some reason, because they feel that they're missing out. Maybe if you don't have FOMO, you have jealousy, or or you feel out of control. Oh my God, the world's changing so fast. What do I do? Or why can't you just leave well enough alone?
Shaking people up. People don't like that. People like their routines. They
Just
want
pay
to
me in
get up.
dollars. I don't care if you devalue it by $5 trillion.
Well, I think a lot of it is the instability also, because you have people like, especially older people, who may be already in retirement, and a dollar's a dollar. That it doesn't fluctuate,
And it's
at
the
least
store's
according to
fault
them.
that's why they're raising the price of milk. What's funny is we all complain about the price of milk, and the price of beef is going up every day, and we blame the government for that, but we don't do that for the price of rent going up. We blame the people renting out stuff. And it's like, wait a minute, it hurts everybody equally. If you print up more money, the price of everything's going to go up.
Yeah. Um, ev- a, a dollar being a dollar, you have these people who worry. They go, "Oh, well, I've seen Bitcoin. It was at $65,000 in June of this year, or whenever it was in the springtime there." And they go, "Well, you pay me in Bitcoin, and now it's at 44,000. So I lost money transacting in Bitcoin. I'm not doing that."
Okay, would you rather be paid in gold? Because the same thing happens there.
No, you know what I mean. And it was funny
Yeah.
because you and I made that private transaction earlier this year, and that ETH I sent you is worth a hell of a lot more now than it was when when I paid you. So
Oh, yeah. I bought
it
some land in Mirandus last year for a very small amount of money, and now it's worth a whole lot more. And I'm like, wow, well, which gained value more, the money, the ETH that I paid, or the land itself? It's hard to say.
Yeah,
Speaking
well,
of
that's
speaking of that, there's
fantastic.
something I wanted to bring up because we just learned about it today. And hold on
Pay
to your
me in
seats, boys
beef.
and girls. So if you made if you listed something on OpenSea for sale last year, say, I don't know, maybe you had Miranda's homestead, and maybe you listed it on OpenSea for 0.5 ETH last year, and then you didn't want to delist it because that costs a fee, but instead you decide to send it to another wallet because it's like, okay, well, let's just send it over there because that kind of canceled the whole thing. Guess what? That's not canceled. If you then send that homestead back to the wallet that you originally listed it from, OpenSea never forgot. They must have a database with these listings, and as soon as that homestead goes back to your original wallet, it will be back on sale again, whether you touch that wallet or not. It's not really a bug as much as a feature, but we saw somebody today apparently tried to sell we saw a farming hamlet go for 0.7 ETH today, and that's because whoever was selling it set it for sale about a year ago, but apparently moved it out of that wallet into another wallet. And then when they moved it back, bang, a bot snapped it up instantly. So I've actually done the same thing. I have a couple pieces of Miranda's land that I listed for sale and moved out into another wallet, and now I'm never going to move it to my Gallo wallet again. I'll have to send it to my son's Gallo wallet or something. Just be
Yeah.
aware that is a feature of OpenSea, and let's hope they fix it.
Well, that yeah, they must be a clock ticking somewhere with that. Um, I know that as we've been talking for a long time now. So one thing I wanted to bring up, I wanted to thank everybody lately for the contributions to emerging cryptos, emerging NFTs, those rooms in CFA. We've seen a lot of talk in there lately. We had some great conversation around taxation in the gala stuff room. Everybody just
Oh,
throwing
I
stuff
love
out
that
there.
taxation conversation.
We all had a really good time with that, especially emerging cryptos is kind of my baby because I enjoy good solid projects, and if people have ideas, just please have some background on it. I've got a couple I'm going to throw in there tonight that I've been poking around at lately that seem like decent little things. One of them has a node, but I downloaded the software. I haven't installed it yet. I got to do some more doxing on that and make sure I'm not going to lose get a virus on the computer from this thing. But anyway, um, the conversations have been fantastic, and another shout out to our boy Pork Chop over. He's all over the place in CFA. He helped someone recover some ETH um, after it was misdirected from a boo boo. And this person was extraordinarily grateful because it was one of their first transactions, and he went above and beyond to help somebody out. And I believe you rewarded him with a bug, didn't you, Faz?
With an NFT, and that's actually something I had wanted to do originally with the Discord. I was doing that originally with these Ethereum NFTs, but they just cost too much to send, so I stopped. But people who help out other people like that really save somebody's bacon. I would be happy to send you an NFT reward. Yes, they are my zip bugs, but we all know that I'm going to be rich off those one day. So that's why you want to hold on to yours.
Oh, I hold them. I definitely hold them. I bought a few um, because and it's not because we're friends or anything like that. I truly enjoy them. They I've made no qualms about telling you I've had it with paper bags. I do not like the paper bag bugs. That's just me. That's my art style. Some of those other ones are fantastic. Um, other projects that people have on their discords that I've noticed, it's terrible. And I know we plug bugs here once in a while, but I think everybody really enjoys them here. And I would love to see them get pushed out even farther as well because I think they're really cool. They're not an NFT that just gets auto generated. It's something that he sits and does. We were talking over the weekend, Faz and I, and he was streaming at the same time, him creating a bug, and I got to see the whole process that he does from start to finish. And this is like a several hour uh, evolution to create a bug, and it's pretty cool how he does it.
I should probably show how I do it at some point. Not ready yet,
Yeah,
but I should probably record the act of me
yeah.
making a bug.
Put it
See, if
out,
I if
and
I
it could
show people my
educate people
process,
too. Yeah, it'll educate them if they wanna create NFTs on their own.
that's
That
true.
would be a terrific learning experience because I know you walked me through it, and my NFTs turned out stinko, compared to your bugs, so I'm gonna keep playing with that. Tressa, my daughter, drew, uh, a picture that I love, and I'm trying to fiddle with that using some of that software and see if she's waiting for it. She keeps asking me, "Daddy, are you done with it yet?" I said, "No, I haven't gotten that far."
All right, so I think this is a natural point. We should probably be done because we're at the hour mark, and I don't want to make these too long, or people are going to get bored. And we could go on for a lot longer, and we sometimes do after these.
Right.
We used to talk for like 3 and 4 hours, and then I cut them up into smaller fast radios. That's why you see the part 1, part 2, part 3, etc. It's all of us on one. It's just in one day that we're doing all that talking.
We all love this so much, and it's a fantastic space. I just I gush about it. I want to be doing this all day, every day. That's all I think about, and I'm so grateful that all of you were here in CFA and the conversations that we have, and we have in we're getting to know each other on deeper levels than just conversations. Higgs is sharing in the lunchroom his culinary experience. He loves cooking, and we have Sai, who does a lot of uh, culinary work as well. And you get to know people on different levels, and it's really fantastic. The people in crypto, uh, 99 out of the hundreds that I run into are fantastic human beings, and it's really really nice that we're all here together. It is. I can't say that enough.
All right. And on that note, I think we're done. Thank you very much, guys, for hanging out here with us. Um, and bring your friends. We want more people to talk to. And Chris Herring, if you really want a bug, I can send you one. He says he loves bugs, and I'm not going to turn that down. Not while I'm poor with bugs. Once these bugs start making money, I might become really shrewd with them. But hey, I'll give them away
Well,
for free while we're just starting out.
just like on CFA, it's about participation. So Chris Pairing has really interacted well. So absolutely, that's awesome.
All right. Anyway, so that's it for now. Thank you very much for attending. See you next week.
See ya.
Bye bye.